Hello everyone, this is Bijan at the request of lots of people going to narrate the videos post-production because I can't leave the sound in there. This is sped up, plus I don't talk when I sculpt. So here we go. Right now I'm using a piece of clay flattened around a armature wire to kind of give it a general shape of a head so I can decide what the size should be, because you don't want it too big of a head or too small. So this kind of, instead of having to measure things and whatever, just put it there and say, okay, that looks good, and start slapping clay on it and start making it a little bit more spheric. And this will help in establishing the size. Because I have started by making something flat just to see the profile, now I have to build up the sides. So just slapping clays here and there where the eyes should be, or the nose, where the muzzle and chin and what have you. Of course, as you add in clay, before you know it, the size would change because it keeps getting bigger and bigger. But that's not a big deal, because as you're putting details on it, you keep scraping off and wiping off the excess clay, so it doesn't make that much difference. It would eventually end up the size that you like to have. And here I'm adding more clay underneath the cheekbones. And some to the temple area. As you can see, the top of the head is a little bit too small, so I have to add more clay on the top and back. The area behind the ears, where the skull is the biggest, the widest, so then it needs to be built up. Taking some of the clay off the back of the head and the chin area, adding a little clay to the head underneath to establish where the neck is going to be. Here I'm establishing the jawline, the mandible. The chin is too forward, so I cut a little bit of clay to push that chin back a little bit. Remove some of the clay around the nose. Around the muzzle. Here I'm taking some more clay off the front of the face by the chin area. As I'm doing this, of course, it would reduce the size because his head was getting too big. So every so often you have to shave off some of the clay to keep the size from growing bigger and bigger. Here I'm trying to establish the brow line and create the cavity for the eyeballs. Adding more clay under the cheekbones. And here's where I add more clay on top and sides to enlarge the back of the head and raise the top. Using these mini kitchen spatulas is very good to create the form and smooth the surface. I really enjoy using that tool. I use it a lot. I know it's too early in the process to smooth things out. Most sculptors, or not most, but a lot of sculptors like to just continue adding clay without smoothing it out, just to create the volume, which is something that I should start doing, because I fuss about it too much. I just keep cleaning it and smoothing it, and then I go ahead and cut it off, and it was kind of like a waste of time doing that. But it's a habit that is hard to break. I have to force myself to remember, not fuss about it, and try to smooth it out and keep building it up. And then when I'm satisfied with the shape, at that point, if I need to smooth out a little bit, no problem. But I just have to keep telling myself to do that, and eventually I will do it. One day you'll see me make rough drafts and don't smooth it out until towards the end. We shall see. This clay, Roma Plastilina, it's it's kind of like a love and hate with this clay. I like to use it because it's a little bit firmer than the other clay, the J-Mac clay that I was using. So if you were to hold it in your hand, it doesn't melt away, because the other J-Mac clay that I was using, it was so hard to hold the piece in my hand that as I'm holding it and working on it, it was keep deforming. This one, when it cools off, I put the clay in the toaster to keep it warm so I can use it. And here again, I reduce the muzzle and chin area because I felt like it was just protruding too much. Anyway, this clay quickly cools off and gets a little bit hard, and it's good for portrait sculpting. When you use it for figure sculpting, and sometimes you have to move the figure or a limb or something, and this one, man, you touch it, it's gonna break. As soon as you put a little pressure on it, it's gonna crack. So that's the part that I don't like about this clay. And I'm using it for figure sculpting here, and I'm gonna regret it. Now I'm rolling a couple of balls to put it in the socket for the eyes, so I can build the eyes. I've seen people make the eyes by putting the balls in there and then get small pieces of clay and roll it very thin and put it on like eyelids, upper and lower. I have to try that, but right now most of the one that I've done is just I put a ball in there as the eyes, put balls in there as the eyes, and then I start using a tool to shape where the eye should be, how it should be. I just push my tool in there, and whatever clay is squeezed out of the upper and lower, use that clay as a lid. Just use the tools to form a lid off of those pieces. those corners on the inside of the eye, underneath the brow ridge, they have a deep cavity in there at the corner of the eyes, the medial section of the both eyes, under the brow. There's a almost looks like a hole going into your head. So you have to make sure that you put that in there. It would make the eye look better. Here, building the top of the head so the eyes are, more like in the center, near the center of the skull, from the chin to the top of the head. So because the top was too shallow, too short, I'm building it up with some clay. Now here's what I'm talking about, not smoothing. You just build up layer by layer until you decide, okay, this is the height I like, and then you go ahead and smooth it. But sometimes I get too anxious and I start using that spatula or some other tools and start smoothing it. So do as I say, don't do as I do. Establishing the form of the back of the skull. The bottom of the ear is where the here goes the spatula. Anyway, bottom of the ear lines up with the back of the skull, the area where the back of the head's kind of looks like a little ball. As it turns inward towards the neck, it should be the same level as the bottom of the ears, bottom of the nose. Same thing. The eyes were sticking out too much, so here I'm taking some of the clay out and forming the eye to kind of be a little bit further in. And also establish that angle that the lower and upper lid have, that it's not vertical, and it should be kind of angled out. The upper lid sticks out and the lower lid is further inward. Here I'm looking at it from this angle. I can see that bone, that they call it temporal bone, which has the zygomatic arch, and then that hooks up to the zygomatic bone, which is around the eye, the outside portion. I can see that that bone is too forward. It needs to be cut backward. It needs to be I don't know how to say this. It needs to be yeah, here I'm doing a little bit of it. Yeah, a little bit more. Do more. That needs to be further back, even twice as much as that. So that's a mistake that because I'm sculpting too fast. I know it's sped up. It looks like I'm sculpting even faster than I am able to do that, but I usually quickly trying to sketch something out, even though it's taking me a long time to do that. But if I put some thoughts behind it, and look at it, I would pick those things. I would see those things while I'm sculpting it. Here I'm narrating after the video was finished and uploaded and editing it and what have you. I can see my mistakes. I can see what needed to be done, but of course eventually would happen, but at that time I should have noticed that and corrected right there. Another thing that although this is a female, so it's okay, female eyebrow usually is further away from the eye, center of the eye level. On males, the eyebrow is kind of closer to the eyes. So for her, I guess it's not that bad. But if I was gonna do it again, I wouldn't leave that much space between the center of the eye and the brow area. I would push that eye further up, further deep inside the skull, and tucked in underneath the brow ridge. But it's okay. It's not too bad. You're forming the right eye, taking some of the clay off and push the eye back and use that clay on top and bottom to make the lids. Boy, that right eye needs to have some clay removed, and I keep looking at it and say, do it now. Take some of that corner off. It looks too thick. Yeah, there. Take more, a lot more. Nope, I stopped. See right there where my thumb is, left thumb? That needs to go back a lot more. Now here I'm adding some clay to establish that ridge where the temporal muscle, goes in there. There's a kind of ridge. You can feel it on your own head if you touch that area. But I'm messing it up because I had a good angle. I should have just, dug on the temporal area, some of the clay, and create that instead of adding the clay, because now I messed up that nice roundness that was at the forehead. It's got a very nice shape to it, but by adding those clay, and later I looked at another video that I had progressed the progression of this, and that didn't look good. Here I'm trying to establish where the mouth is. Pushing the clay out with that rubber tool. I like that rubber tool, that one, and there's another one I use where it's kind of pointed like a pencil. does a great job. That's the one. This is the tool with the sharp pointed head. I use that to roll it over the clay to smooth it and form it and push clay around, stick it in places and move it around. It's really neat tool. I like that one. And the flat one is good too, but the flat one creates a line at the edge because of those sharp edges. And sometimes I use the back end of the tool, the other end of it, to push things out. Usually that particular tool, I use that a lot. Here is the chin is too big, too wide, and taking some of the clay out and narrowing it down. Take some of the clay under the chin that is excessive. So I see you all in the next video. Cheers.